Stadium here at the Pierre-Charbonneau Center. A light heavyweight clash will start us off. Veteran Marlon Hayes faces unbeaten local Adonis Stevenson. Marlon Hayes, 36-year-old from Newark, New Jersey, a journeyman, was out of the ring for 4 years after being TKO'd by Kingsley Akiki. Akiki's going to be in our main event trying to overcome his own layoff. Recently, Hayes just lost on Friday Night Fights in June. And there is Adonis Stevenson, unbeaten but untested, 8-0, 7 knockouts. He moved to Montreal from Haiti as a 5-year-old. And as is always the case, the Montreal-based fighters get such a huge reception, such passionate fight fans here.
Gentlemen, you got instruction in the dressing room, you obey commands at all time, you protect yourself all the time. Tu as eu tes instructions dans la chambre, tu écoutes ma voix tout le temps, tu te protèges tout le temps. Touch up, good luck.
Jerry Boland is the referee. Let's look at the ring experience. Hayes has plenty of it. He's been taken out 3 times in his career, but against superior opposition, Akiki, Robert Allen, and Elver Maricki. Adonis Stevenson, who is in the white trunks, 6 first-round knockouts so far in his young career against more limited competition, Teddy.
Yeah, Stevenson, the undefeated fighter, on his way up. In the white is a southpaw, as you can see. All his fights have been here in Canada. And as you said, he has not been in hard yet. Little step up here tonight with the most experienced opponent he has fought so far. Someone who usually knows how to go rounds. That would be Hayes. He doesn't always try to win a lot of rounds at this point in his career, but he knows how to go rounds.
He was in against another unbeaten prospect on Staten Island on June 29th. He lost to 15-0 Chucky Cavallo. Hayes in the blue, Stevenson in the white. Stevenson has been a pro for just under a year. Got a late start, 29 years old.
You know, the people that have Hayes, or actually that have the undefeated Stevenson, they're thinking a good choice of opponent to step up now with Hayes. Get a chance to get some rounds under your belt at a pace that you can control with a guy who could be a little cooperative at 36 years of age. And of course, Hayes has lost 6 of his last 7. A little shot worn, and maybe not only physically, but mentally. Again, that fits into where he tries to survive more than he tries to win. And that's exactly what you're looking for in an opponent when you have an undefeated fighter looking to make a little step. You can see 2 jabs come from the undefeated Stevenson in white. One is the one from his hip, where he flips it out. And he has to warn you when he throws that one. It's got to come up a little bit so you see it coming. The other one is he keeps it up in a conventional chamber. Up around his chin, up around his shoulder. When he gets closer, when he's starting to be aggressive. This is kind of a tip-off here, Joe, when it's coming from the hip. It's telling you I'm going to stay on the outside. I'm going to counter. When it comes up around the chin, it's telling you I'm coming forward. If Hayes knows how to read that, he can take advantage of that. Kind of like watching a pitcher who maybe does a little something before he throws a particular pitch. Maybe before he throws a curveball, he tips it off with some kind of mannerism.
Well, over the past few years, one of the most exciting fighters on our air has been Jason Litzow. Always a thrill inside the ring, big talker out of the ring, and tonight it's all about his gift of gab. He's our studio guest analyst alongside Robert Flores.
Thanks, guys. And Jason will be in the ring here on Friday Night Fights 2 weeks from tonight when he takes on Emmanuel Lucero. And Jason, welcome, the All-American boy. We appreciate you joining us here in our studios. As we take a look at your resume, let me ask you this. For people that aren't familiar with your fighting style, what would you tell them?
I'm a boxer puncher.
Straight ahead.
Yep, we'll hurt you.
In all action, is that something that you pride yourself in, the fact that you would just rather take a punch as long as you can give a punch?
If you're going to pay to come watch this kid and you never watch boxing, I'd say he's a boxer puncher / he's crazy, and you'll get your money's worth. Come see him.
All right. Well, we saw there on the resume that you sparred with Arturo Gatto. You still remain friends with him, and that's one of the topics we hope to discuss here with Jason Litzau in the next hour and a half or so here on Friday Night Fights. We'll also discuss his upcoming bout with Emmanuel Lucero. That is 2 weeks from tonight on Friday Night Fights. Now back out to Montreal in Joe Tessitore in round number 2.
Thanks, Robert. We always look forward to seeing Jason Litzau. We will have that pleasure on Friday Night Fights coming up on August 17th. Of course, a much anticipated main event tonight. Kingsley Akiki against the unbeaten Jean Pascal. This is round number 2, scheduled for 8, between the unbeaten Adonis Stevenson in the white and the veteran journeyman Marlon Hayes. Came in with a straight right hand, and Stevenson fired back with a left hand of his own. Punch track numbers, the headshots thrown. Hayes yet to land. There's a straight left hand from the southpaw Stevenson to the body.
When you're at the point in your career where you're there just to get fights, to a certain extent, your concentration is more on defense, on going rounds, than it is taking chances to win. I think you see some of that concentration in spots with Hayes. I don't know if Hayes' mouthpiece is a new mouthpiece, but he seems to be keeping that mouth open like he's not accustomed to that mouthpiece. That can be really dangerous. If you get hit while your mouth is open, that jaw is not a secure joint. It's easy to break.
Yeah, it's almost like, Teddy, he's loosening up the mouthpiece and then trying to clinch it again when he knows that Stevenson is on the attack, getting back inside on him. Left hand to the body again from Stevenson.
You know, if we understand that Hayes' concentration is on defense, on surviving, then Stevenson, the undefeated fighter, should come here understanding that. And that means he should be concentrating, at least to me, to the body a little bit more. Because when a guy is trying to just survive and concentrate on defense, that means up top, he's going to be a little tricky to find. That means you should go downstairs. That's where Stevenson, I think, and he's starting to do it a little bit now.
Uppercut landed. He went to the body with the left hand. Before that, there's another left hand to the body as Hayes was bent over, turned it into a left uppercut that hit him pretty flush.
See, this is where I talked about, sort of like with a pitcher out on the mound. If he does a certain something, you know what pitch is coming. Every time that right hand comes up, when Stevenson's coming forward, you know he's being aggressive. When it's down low, he's usually staying out.
Down near the waistline now. Let's watch him bring it up, see if he fires off. There's the left hand again. 4 consecutive left hands with Hayes bent over. Coming to the end of round number 2 here in Montreal. Marlon Hayes against the unbeaten Adonis Stevenson. Street Festival here in Montreal, celebrating the NASCAR Busch Series that is in town and can be seen tomorrow at 3:30 on ESPN. We're going to be visiting with a NASCAR Busch racer, Bobby Hamilton, a little later on Friday Night Fights. Round number 3, Marlon Hayes, Adonis Stevenson, coming off of a successful second round for Stevenson, where he was able to land 20 of 58 headshots.
Stevenson, you can see in the last round, concentrating on one punch, the left uppercut. Good reason for him to concentrate on that. Hayes now in that defensive mode, starting to lean forward to get away from the headshots. And when he leans forward, he's favoring his right side, which makes him vulnerable to a punch coming up from the left side. Hayes has lost, Joe, whenever he has fought at B level or above. It seems like he's at least at the B level again.
He has lost 3 straight. That stretch started with the prospect Jadon Codrington. He also lost to Robert Stieglitz. And most recently on Friday Night Fights against Chucky Cavallo. We told you that he took 4 years off after being TKO'd by Kingsley Akiki in 2002. Of course, Akiki coming up in our main event against Jean Pascal.
Great.
tries to follow up that jab with a right hand, but was off the mark against Stevenson.
The only thing that Hayes has going for him, he's been 10 rounds or more, 2 times. Stevenson, if it gets past the 6th, will be in uncharted waters. He's never been past that 6th round. But the only way Hayes can make that mean something in this fight is if he picks up the pace and tries to win rounds and get Stevenson to start thinking when he starts getting to places where he's never been.
Well, you see the average rounds per fight. Stevenson averaging only 1.8 rounds in his 8 fights so far. In fact, this is only the 2nd fight he's ever taken to the 3rd round. Hayes shaking that off, bends over again, as Teddy's been noting. He's been susceptible to left hands, and he eats a left hand there, fires back, and waves on Stevenson to give him more.
Well, right now, Stevenson can look to make it a sensational ending by landing one good big shot. He's already got rounds in the bank where he's ahead, and I think he can line up one big shot by feinting a little bit and getting Hayes to move to his right. That's the side he moves to.
Nice!
Give a little feint with the jab, get him over on that side, and then time him with a big left hand.
Back to live action, round number 4. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you ringside. Here in Montreal, Marlon Hayes trying to survive. He's in the blue, taking on the unbeaten Adonis Stevenson. Punch track numbers offering up the jabs through round 3. Stevenson 21 of 82.
Most things that you do, Joe, you don't want to be predictable. Hayes is very predictable in his defensive methods. As we just showed on the telestrator, almost always slips to his right side. That is something that if you're going to be a prospect that's going to be a future world champion like Stevenson wants to be, you have to notice those things. You have to take advantage of those things. This is about the brain being part of the equation, not just the body. And you need that brain to be a world champion. Stevenson should notice that. Give a little bit of a feint right there. Don't overcommit. Just give a feint. Get Hayes to slip to that side that he slips to 99% of the time. And then go over with that big left hand.
There's an example of Hayes ducking out to the right and dipping down again. Now he's just bent over in defensive posture. It doesn't look good at all. Tries to put a right hand to the body, but Stevenson in complete control with still a minute to go here in round number 4.
The only possible enemy of Stevenson now is actually getting careless. It's getting to the point where maybe he starts to figure nothing's going to be coming back, and he doesn't have any respect for what a fighter always has to have respect for. The opponent possibly throwing back at him. So the only enemy possibly for Stevenson that I can see is getting himself lulled to sleep where he doesn't think defense at all, and maybe suddenly he walks into a blind punch.
Just moments before Hayes absorbed those 2 left hands, his mouthpiece almost came out of his mouth, as it is right now, and he pushed it back in with his right hand. Again, Teddy, you called that real early, and now it's showing up here at the end of round 4. Almost slipped out twice there. End of 4.
Tonight.
I guess I'm glad my conscience
does just that. Round number 5, scheduled for 8. It's been all Adonis Stevenson. Much like many of the fights that we've seen early in the career of our guest studio analysts, we are glad to have 21-1, 18 knockout victor Jason Litzau in studio tonight. Jay, glad to have you with us. You've been in this position before that Stevenson is in, where you're controlling every moment of the fight, and you're starting to think to yourself, okay, maybe I can get rid of this guy. What do I do? What goes through your mind when you reach that point, Jay, of complete dominance and control, but you have to make the decisions to finish it and move on in a different direction?
Well, I gotta say, Hayes after this fight needs to give Stevenson a kiss and a hug, because he hasn't hit Hayes behind the head. And that's crazy because he's bending over so much that I'm surprised he hasn't hit him behind the head. And this is a dirty game, but he's definitely been a real nice guy, Stevenson. I can definitely say that.
You've been known to go down that road of sometimes fouling or taking advantage of situations, Jay. Are you saying that in this situation, at this point, you would have done that?
Yeah, he's bending over so much that, I mean, I cracked him in the back of the head. But, you know, it's a fair game. I mean, he's bending over like the last round more than every round. He was truly bending over way more than I've ever seen somebody bend over. I would have maybe accidentally hit him in the back of the head. I mean, he didn't even accidentally hit him in the back of the head.
Accidentally on purpose, I guess.
Yes, yes.
But of course, what you could also do, Jason, in all fairness to that, is do it within the realm, within the boundaries of the rules. If you're Stevenson, you can step back a little bit and position yourself where you can get a punch in even while he's leaning forward and not smother yourself like he's doing where you're forced to punch behind the head.
Oh, correct. I'm just saying that he's been real nice about it. I wouldn't have did it purposely either, but I mean, I come back with a left hook, it would have hit him in the back of the head, you know, or I'll come down with a right hand, you know, so. But then again, he is a softball, so he's been real nice, but he's been nice to him.
Jason Litzow, our guest analyst tonight.
Well, one thing I say, it's a good thing that Hayes is not in the ring with Rocky Marciano right now, because Rocky Marciano would have hit him behind the head.
Jay, great job in studio. We'll catch up with you a little later.
Marciano, when he fought Archie Moore, he was throwing punches from all angles.
3 rounds to go between Hayes and Stevenson.
What?
Alongside Teddy Atlas, I'm Joe Tessitore. Glad you're with us here for Friday Night Fights, presented by Just for Men Hair Color in Montreal. Round number 6, Marlon Hayes and Adonis Stevenson. Stevenson in the white trunks, 8-0 with 7 knockouts. Who's only had 1 fight. Goes 6 rounds. This is scheduled for 8. That was a backhand slap attempt by Hayes there, putting that left hand out there, Teddy. Average punches landed through the first 5 rounds. 5 rounds that have been dominated by the unbeaten Quebecois. Stevenson 23-6 advantage. Teddy Atlas's scorecard, well, pretty obvious. 5-zip.
You know, Jason Litzow touched on the way, which of course I brought up early, how Hayes leans over to the right side. And I was saying how Stevenson could take advantage of that knowledge by feigning him into that position and timing him over there. And you see it again over on that side. And Jason Litzow was saying, hey, I think I might have hit him behind the head, you know, because he's leaning so far forward. But really, it's the obligation, it's the responsibility of the prospect as he starts to open up here and he lands a low punch here. Stevenson to find a way to take advantage of Hayes leaning forward like that within the rules. It's up to Stevenson to find that way. And if he's going to be a world champion, he must contain himself. He must be able to think under pressure, not get frustrated, and adjust to what he needs to adjust to. Adjust to a guy leaning forward, way over, and position yourself where indeed you can take advantage of that and land clean without having to go to an illegal place.
Stevenson trying to lift him up with that left uppercut again. Landed a straight left hand moments ago before Hayes had time to get down all the way down to that right side.
The real good fighters, they find a way to adjust and accommodate what they have to accommodate in that ring according to what their opponent's doing. They're calm enough, in control enough to do that.
This is one of those things that you mark down, and when we come back to Montreal and hopefully see Stevens again, we see the progression. See if he's learned how to figure things out and to adapt and overcome certain obstacles that are right in front of him.
See, otherwise you're just a guy throwing punches. You're just a guy in there, the old-timers would say, they're just throwing punches. They're in shape, they're just throwing punches. The old-timers, who I have a lot of respect for, they had so much experience, they had so many good teachers around, so many clubs where they could develop, they would be able to recognize that and not just throw punches. They'd be able to move their guy into a punch.
End of 6. 20 months ago. He's been out of the ring since then, but 6'4", capable, and he's been in against better opposition. That's a very attractive main event coming up in moments. Pascal against Akiki, round 7. Stevenson in the white, 8-0, 29-year-old, originally from Haiti. Moved here to Montreal as a young boy, got a late start to the fight game, but he spars with Pascal and Joachim Alcine, the newly minted junior middleweight titleist, and he's hopeful of big things to come.
These are new waters, uncharted waters for Stevenson. Not that he's feeling it much, Joe, because when you're taking a young fighter into new places, it only matters if the early rounds were fast-paced, where he has to think about where he's going, where he's never been before. Stevenson has had it his way. He has not had to think about, hey, I'm about to go into a place I've never been. But Hayes has been here, as we said earlier, 10 rounds or more 2 times.
Went 10 rounds with Jadon Codrington this past March, losing a decision.
I said in the first round that Hayes was a guy that goes rounds. Doesn't try to win rounds too often, but he goes rounds. That is his concentration. And going into this fight, I would have thought that Stevenson would have had his concentration around that knowledge, knowing that if a guy goes rounds, there must be a reason. He has experience, he's a little slick defensively. What's that mean? It means that he moves his head, and he's not there to find all the time, and he's a little unorthodox. So that would mean go to a place that doesn't move, to the body. I don't think Stevenson has done that enough. Hey, don't get me wrong, he's winning every round. But you're supposed to do the things that are there to be done if you're going to move up and graduate someday into a higher class of opponent. Opponents that will make you do that or make you pay if you don't do it.
Left uppercut came in that time. Hayes continues to circle around the outside as he's done this entire 7th round in survival mode. Tries to hunt him down with a straight left hand.
And right now, I think, and he's 29 years old, he's only got 8 fights, Stevenson, but I think he's just throwing punches. I think what you want to do is see some of the mind there, where he's settling down and throwing educated punches, cerebral punches, punches that might get Hayes out of there.
He'll have one more round to try to do it when we come back to Friday Night Fights in Montreal. Do yourself a favor. Come to a Montreal fight night sometime. We have been enjoying it through the years, and we are here again for another Friday Night Fights. Of course, as you know, we've seen Lucien Boutte and Adrian Diaconou and Herman and Gojo. And tonight we're looking forward to Jean Pascal, the latest and greatest unbeaten prospect to come from here, against Kingsley Akiki in our main event. In front of us here, final round for yet another unbeaten Montreal-based prospect, Adonis Stevenson in the white. The last 3 rounds, the average headshots, a 25-2 advantage against the veteran journeyman Marlon Hayes, who has not won a single round here in our co-feature.
Stevenson's people have done a good job of keeping him active since turning pro 10 months ago. This is his 9th fight, an average of almost 1 per month. That's the way to do it with a young fighter. Keep him in the ring. He will get calmer, he will get smarter. Again, you can see Stevenson a little over anxious, just running in and throwing, instead of setting his opponent up. He doesn't have to run in right now. Hayes is very defensive. He's not going to do anything to him. What he should do, and he might get to him just through an accumulation, just through attrition. Don't get me wrong. But right now, he could feint him, get a movement out of him, like he is right now, and then go over to the side and make the punch really count. Make it a knockout punch.
That left hand to the body moments ago, maybe his most effective so far in these later stages of this fight.
Now, there's a lot of truth to that statement, because a moment ago there was a little bit of a movement by Stevenson, like he was going to go to the body. He didn't throw, and you could see Hayes starting to cringe, drop his hands a little bit. That's information Stevenson should use.
Still to come tonight, a very, very good main event. Former world title challenger Kingsley Akiki taking on the unbeaten, overly athletic Jean Pascal. And of course, later on tonight, Barry Bonds. The chase for history continues. Bonds against Maddox and the Padres. Still to come.
Watch when they're on the outside. Not that it matters now, but Hayes will go into a bounce. When he's not bouncing, he'll throw. But when he's bouncing, he's not going to throw. He's going to be moving. He's going to be defensive. The only time he's going to throw is now, when he stops, when the bouncing ceases.
It was never in doubt. Adonis Stevenson cruises, but still a lot of growth to go for the unbeaten fighter.
Got a craving for buffalo.
The Just for Men Punch Track Fight Recap. Stevenson, 156 more headshots landed. Total punches, 170 more total punches. Teddy Atlas's scorecard. Very easy to read, and it would be a stunner if it reads anything else here in Montreal, the hometown of Adonis Stevenson, the 8-0 prospect, who's about to take himself to 9-0. Chris Gauthier has it.
Ladies and gentlemen, here now from ringside is the judge's decision. Voici maintenant la décision des juges. Les juges Gay et Sotheby remettent des cartes de 80-72. Judges Gay and Sotheby both score this bout 80-72. Le juge Lapointe, 80-71. Judge Lapointe scores it 80-71 for the winner. By unanimous decision, le gagnant par décision unanime, Adonis Superman Stevenson.